In this video, I'm going to talk about Robin Buckley, and especially I'm going to talk about why I think that she is pretty bad queer representation. They could have taken that story out completely. We've come a long way as representation goes. If we look at lesbian characters, there has been some good ones just over the last year. Leighton in Sex Lives of College Girls, Vi in Arcane, and Ellie in Last of Us, just to mention a few. I'm mentioning them because I think it proves a point that representation for the sake of representation isn't necessary anymore. It's better to have no representation than to have bad representation. All TV shows doesn't have to have all the minorities. It's better to do some of them and do them well. But this is a video about Robin Buckley, and in my opinion, the problem is the personality change between season 3 and season 4. The problem with that personality change is that it happens when the writers decided that she would no longer be the love interest for Steve, but a lesbian side character. The way that Robin's personality changed from season 3 to season 4 in correlation with her sexuality shows how little the writers cared for her outside of a heterosexual love interest. They dropped all ideas and motivations to keeping her a likable character for the general audience when she no longer needed to be attractive to the general audience. Conscious or not conscious, it does show the writer's disinterest in telling a queer story. Her love story becomes a representation woke alibi when in reality, when you look at it, it's based on the comfort levels of the heterosexual viewers. Season 4 Robin, in my opinion, is a badly written character, and that, combining with the fact that it did become that way when she became a homosexual character, is bad representation. In season 3, Robin's first season, she's a cool and calm character. She has a lot of control over herself and her actions. She is smart, take well-thought decisions, and those decisions brings the story and the group forward. But when recording episode 4, I think, of season 3, Maya put the idea to the writers that what if she wasn't Steve's love interest? What if instead she was a homosexual? And the Duffer Brothers reacted positive to this, and together they changed the rest of the storyline. But the first 3 episodes, the introduction and the foundation for her storyline, had already been decided and probably filmed. So in season 3, they didn't change anything in her portrayal of Robin, just added that coming out scene, which was great, beautiful. The problem is that it wasn't allowed to stay that way. When writing season 4 and everyone in the production knew Robin was gay, they wrote a whole new character. They let Maya Hawke basically decide her entire personality. They turned that up and she became a poorly written comic relief. She literally went from being the smartest, sharpest, most rational one to being uncomfortable to herself and to watch, talking too much and tripping over things. It doesn't matter that a minority of people find her better this way and find identification in her this way. If you change a character's story and personality this much without motivations, without trauma, without something significant happening, her coming out to Steve wasn't enough for that kind of personality change. It means that the writers don't care about that character. The story arc of that character isn't important. The end goal for that character is no longer important. What the general audience think of that character is no longer important. Doing such a 180 flip is only possible when the creators no longer care for the character. That change happening in correlation with the sexuality change, it's not great. Why couldn't she have had the same personality, but just not get together with Steve? Because in season 3, Robin isn't just more vital to the plot, but also created to be a charismatic and likable character. Regardless of the preference of what you prefer to see in a character, the narrative tells you to respect her. because she is bullying Steve, who used to be the alpha of the show. In season 3, Robin is also used as a narrative tool in the character arc of Steve. She's there to show he has grown and changed, becoming uncool compared to her. She holds more power than Steve. She is annoyed by him. The narrative and the dialogue sets it up for you to want to earn her respect, be her friend, or want to be her. This is all deleted in season 4. What is problematic with Robin's representation is that when she came out, the writers dropped so many of the things that made her respectable, attractive, and unattainable. If she would have stayed the same in season 4, the logical narrative choice would have been to make her get more bitches than Steve. Imagine the humor, imagine the banter. It makes so much sense, considering how their dynamic was and how they built up Robin as a character. But that would have been uncomfortable for heterosexual viewers, and that would have been a lesbian character that people wouldn't know how to feel about. Like, regardless of what the narrative would have gotten her as that potential badass lesbian bitch, what they instead did in season 4 was to take away all of that, the cool girl in town, and instead made her strange, unpopular, and a comic relief, aka no threat to the heterosexual community. Obviously, my personal preferences, both in women and in fictional characters, are shining through, but I am talking about this from a narrative perspective. You can be cool and clumsy, but they didn't make her that way. You can be over-talkative and smart, but they didn't make her that way. In season 3, she talks them out of situations due to her speaking fucking 4 languages. Where was that in season 4? And in season 4, she talks them out of a situation due to her being really, really annoying. One is to add wow factor, and one is supposed to be funny, I think. And I, for a fact, would have liked to see the wow factor stay, even though she's gay now. In season 3, Robin is annoyed by everyone, and in season 4, everyone is annoyed by Robin. That is objectively portraying a character to be unlikable. So that's that. Then, the love story. Which, I mean, obviously, I think everyone can agree with that, is an add-in for representation points. I wouldn't even call that love story rushed. It's just added. This is such an unfinished, shallow, cheesy, did I say uninteresting, storyline. When you judge same-sex relationships in any kind of fiction, the easiest way to do it is to ask, does this get the same treatment as the heterosexual characters? Does this get the same amount of screen time and work behind it? Can you tell that the creators put the same amount of love into this relationship? All the other relationships in Stranger Things get screen time, backstory, build up, and you understand the motivations behind that relationship. That's not all it takes to write a good relationship, but it's all that it takes to write a relationship. When you write or create a love story, you have to ask, why are these two people together? Why are they in love? And why are they in love at this moment in their time? Will the viewer buy these two as a couple? Is the motivations behind the relationship enough? And those sounds like a lot of questions, but it's basic ass questions. All the other relationships have answers, worked through answers to those questions. If you can't answer those questions, it's a sloppy ass written relationship. Robin is in love with this girl without ever really talking to her. That is absolutely a way that you can fall in love, and it's really common when you are like 12 years old. Robin is one of the older characters. We're supposed to identify with her if we are of the older age. This crush has no motivation. Her talking about that other girl, the popular girl that sings, that has more backstory to it. But that's a popular girl, so Robin getting her, again, would be threatening to the heterosexual audience. And Stranger Things I mean, I like this show, but they do everything on the basis of the heterosexual viewer. They do. But anyway, since we get no backstory and no motivations for the relationship, it makes no sense. And I mean, is all of this necessary then? Well, no. If there are 5 heterosexual couples and one of those heterosexual couples get basically no backstory and basically no screen time, fine. But when all the heterosexual ones are treated one way and then a homosexual one is treated another way, we have to look at it and ask ourselves, why is that? Could it be because they're gay? When it's that much of a difference between the heterosexual and the homosexual relationships, it's not unconscious and it's not a coincidence. It's because of one of these 3 reasons, or multiple of them, which are that the creators want to keep the homosexual viewers and still not scare away the homophobic ones. Or it's because they want to make representation points without doing any effort. Or 3, they actually want to do representation, but you can tell in the way that they are telling the story that they actually don't care at all. They want to do it in theory, but not in reality. The lack of story, the lack of chemistry, the lack of affection. They are not allowed any screen time, they are not allowed any real work, and they are not allowed any physical affection. And that's just really boring to see. They have no reason to falling in love except that, oh my god, they're the same. She too talks too much when she gets nervous, and she's another girl you wouldn't stand being in the same room as for more than 5 minutes. How cute! Except it's so shallow and it's such basic ass kindergarten writing compared to what the other love stories get. And before someone adds the point that Robin and maybe also her girlfriend is neurodivergent representation. I know this is a thing that is talked about a lot in the fandom, so this is something that I would like to end this video with. I know that a lot of neurodivergent people relate to Robin, and I also know that disability is the rarest form of representation in media right now. Literally, you never see physical disabilities and you rarely see mental disabilities. And yeah, Robin in season 4 can be read as having HDHD or being on the spectrum. And I get why that would feel important in a show like this. And if you have found great representation in Robin being queer and on the spectrum or have HDHD, I get why that's rare to you. But I also can't help but feel like we could demand more. Her being coded that way and in the same way becoming extremely annoying to her friends. Going from being a likable character to the majority of viewers to being a likable character to queer people with neurodivergent diagnosis is not great representation, because they could have made her autistic in the way that she was in season 3. And that would have been great representation because she would still have been portrayed as a cool character. Whatever's going on with how they portray her as HDHD on the spectrum coded and the queer representation of Robin, I can't help but feel that Stranger Things are like literally giving us the scraps of their food. Like the neurotypical white heterosexual had a full-on fucking meal, enjoying themselves, seafood, Wagyu, everything, and then we are sitting under the table begging for something to eat, and they are literally like giving us the fucking trash, and I rather not take it. I understand I'm sounding very harsh right now, but also like out of honor, I'd rather not be under the table at all and just get no representation if they're gonna do it this poorly and with this little effort. Stranger Things is a major production. It's one of Netflix's most popular shows. I understand that representation, all kind of representation in that kind of show is rare. That doesn't mean that all representation are good representation. I rather have none that have representation that is made this poorly. And it is poorly, in my opinion, because it's given so little effort. And when the creators can show how little they care for the minority characters compared to the main heterosexual white characters, it shows them that that's enough. And I just rather not have it. Like, take a character and make it good. Like Will Byers. Focus on Will Byers, who is a well thought out, queer, interesting, major character. Because what happened when they do positive representation in this way, Robin getting a happy ending, it amplifies Robin as a queer alibi. You can't complain about queer representation in Stranger Things because they also have Robin. That Will is getting no happiness, is depressed, whatever might happen with him in season 5, God fucking bless, they can always say that Robin got a happy ending. I mean, we'll see what happens in season 5. They could kill him off and use Robin as a shield. It could work. Like, the fans are eating it up because we are starved, and I understand that. But you can be starved and still say no to the trash ass food. Focus on Will. So, in conclusion, I think that Robin is bad representation because of 1. In correlation with the change from her being Steve's love interest to her being a lesbian, she went from being cool, sarcastic, rational, and respected by the other characters to being annoying, socially inadept, and tripping over things. She goes from likable to dislikable. She goes from annoyed to annoying. I do believe this is because season 3 Robin, as a lesbian, would have been threatening to the heterosexual audience, which wasn't worth risking. Consciously or not, this was the outcome. 2. Her love story serves only as a representation alibi. It's given no screen time, no energy, and no work from the writers. It's clearly made to stay on the comfort levels of heterosexuals. They have no chemistry, no backstory, and are not allowed to show any affection. And lastly, I am afraid that Robin's storyline will be used as a queer alibi for the writers to do whatever they want with Will. For example, make him the villain, kill him off, or leave him depressed and alone in the end. These are my opinions, but I think that we have come far enough in queer representation that we can judge them harder. There are good representations in all genres and of all ages, and I think that we can say when something is treated very differently from their heterosexual counterparts that we see this, and I do not approve of it. I know that a lot of people found Robin cute and funny and a source of identification, but the fact remains that to people outside of this group, she was annoying. And this is something that is interesting to talk about. Why was she portrayed that way? And then we can have a bigger discussion about why those characteristics are always portrayed as annoying, but I'll leave that to someone else. I like Stranger Things, but I really do think that the show would have been better if she would have been kept as Steve's love interest, because I 100% fully believe that she would have been kept at the same personality, the same rationality, the same smartness, coolness, importance for the story. If Maya Hawke would have said, what if we made her autism coded, HDHD coded, but still would have stayed as Steve's love interest? Would the Duffer Brothers have said, okay, represent her that way as someone still plausible as Steve's girlfriend? The answer would have been no. They would not have allowed that. But since she was a lesbian, the only one that lost a fictional crush or whatever of season 3 Robin, it wasn't really important. But who am I to judge? I would love to hear what you have to say about Robin. Did you like her? Did you dislike her? Did you prefer her in season 3 or season 4? Thank you so much for watching in this slightly chaotic video. I didn't have a script for this video, and I think you're going to be able to tell. I am testing out some new ways to film, and therefore I am doing this kind of more relaxed videos. Let me know what you think of them, and I will see you around eventually.